American Energy and you, together partnering to change the energy landscape by pioneering money-saving, energy efficiency programs and building a new industry in Iowa, wind energy, all while keeping your rates low. So what's next? We'll keep delivering cost-effective energy efficiency programs while putting money back in your pocket. That's right. You decide how best to spend your savings. That's a partnership good for you, good for the environment, and good for Iowa. Another way we're obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Here's to everyone who believes in competition and good sportsmanship, who knows it's not about the trophies or the medals, but rather the lessons learned. For those who understand, it's not whether you win or lose, just that you give your best. So go ahead, lace them up, take the field, have fun, and play. For the experience, for the memories, for the love of the game. Shields.
Hi, Ron here, head coach of Westside Auto Pros. When your car's on the injured reserve, you want to get it back in the game as soon as possible. I know that. That's why you need to bring it here to Westside Auto Pros. I have a team of experts that can fix almost every automotive injury. Whether it's a fractured joint, a brake, or if your car just got its bell rung, no problem. We can even do a complete physical on your car to make sure it's game ready for the entire season. So bring your car to Westside Auto Pros and we'll get it back in the starting lineup in no time. Hey, you guys are dogging it back here. Let's move it, move it, move it.
You want to get stronger, faster, healthier. You want more. You want to be part of something bigger than yourself. A place for people of all ages, all walks of life, that provides opportunities for all to succeed. We do that. We're the why. Build more than muscle. Build a stronger community.
This guide in consumers for over a century. When you go to bbb.org to check out a business, you'll learn if it's BBB accredited, see its grade on customer service, and read honest, useful reviews from local people. For online recommendations you can trust, start with trust at bbb.org/Iowa. Is this guy a contractor who does good work or a contractor who needs work? For a reliable recommendation,
your online personal trainer. We are live from Thunderhead Sports Bar and Grill in Ankeny.
It's a little.
This is.
All right, it looks a little cold outside. It is, but it's nice and warm here at Thunderhead Sports Bar and Beer, where the food is always hot, the drinks are always cold, and this is where we are every Wednesday night with CISN.TV. This week we've got a lot of great stuff that we're going to be sharing with you. Of course, Jackie Sapp going to be here tonight with a great interview. Flint Heald, Javier Toole, all great lining up that we're going to be dealing with another great show tonight at Thunderhead Sports Bar and Grill in Ankeny on Orlaver. I'm Jimmy Olson. And now just a quick recap of what we had, because you can watch CISN.TV on YouTube. If you've not subscribed to our channel, you want to subscribe to the channel and then see exactly what is going on every week with the different games that we share with you. In fact, when you're doing that, also follow us on social media, on Facebook and on Twitter. In fact, if you have a play of the week, we want you to share that play of the week with us. You can do that at CISN.TV or at CISN, both on Facebook and on Twitter, so be sure to share that with us. Now, this past week, some great games that we did share with you on CISN.TV. Of course, it was Dowling at Waukee. Now, the girls, talk about a great game right up until the last minute. That's when the girls won that. It was Dowling 57, Waukee 53, and if that's a game that you missed, you can go back and actually rewatch that game right on our YouTube channel. Also, the boys, they had 47, Waukee 52, so Waukee pulled off the win for that. And then wrestling last week, it was Southeast Polk at Valley, Southeast Polk 53, Valley 16. Again, you can always check that out. And then every week we're always bringing you some great high school sports. In fact, this Friday night, Ames at Ankeny. Tip-off for that going to be at 6:15. Get all that action right here on CISN.TV. And then a game on Saturday, which is a reschedule because, it's been cold and snowy in central Iowa. and I think there might even be some more snow coming. At least that's the rumor this weekend. But again, Waukee at Centennial, that's a 1 o'clock tip-off. You can check that right on CISN.TV. Again, if you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to it so you can get all the alerts whenever we are going live with the games and when we go live every week with This Week on CISN.TV. And one more time, when it comes to those plays of the week, if you are at a game and there's a great play that you see, share that with us. You can tag us on that on Facebook or Twitter at CISN.TV. So we're going to be going on, checking out some other great videos. We're going to get you the rankings for this week for the boys and girls. All that, it's on the way right here on CISN.TV from Thunderhead Sports Bar and Grill in Ankeny and Orlabor. I'm Jimmy Olsen.
Miss your hometown clothing store? The one that had it all? Everything to get the work done, all in one place? G&L Clothing is your hometown Iowa store. Stop in and see us, or we're only a click or phone call away. Family owned for nearly a century. G&L Clothing, 1801 Ingersoll, Des Moines.
G&L Clothing, your size, your style, we got it all.
Hi, I'm Chris from Fireplace Superstore. You may have noticed it's starting to get cold outside, and if you're like a lot of folks, that old fireplace in your house isn't doing you much good. You need to replace that thing with a high-efficient gas fireplace from Heat and Glow. We're going to come in, take your old wood or gas fireplace out. We're going to replace it with a warm, cozy, high-efficient, easy-to-use fireplace from Heat and Glow. It'll be the best thing you ever did to your house. Come see us today, because nothing's better than a warm fire on a cold day.
Moms typically get to make a majority of the healthcare decisions for their family. That can be a lot of pressure, but not for me, because I know the choice is ours. For medical tests like MRIs, X-rays, CAT scans, and of course mammograms, ask your doctor to refer you to Iowa Radiology. They work around our hectic schedules, they're the best at what they do, and they're so great with my family. They truly care, and it shows. Visit iowaradiology.com or call to schedule an appointment. Iowa Radiology, our focus is your good health.
During the year-end holiday tag event at Schottenkirk Ford, Indianola, all vehicles are tagged with one low price. New bonus tagged 18 Ford F-150s up to $14,000 off MSRP. Your choice. Up to $8,500 off MSRP. New 18 Ford Explorer and new 18 Ford Edge. Year-end tag event in Indianola, including thousands under retail value on Schottenkirk certified pre-owned vehicles. Hurry in for best selection. Schottenkirk Ford, Indianola. SchottenkirkFord.com.
Welcome back to CISN.TV. I'm Jimmy Olsen, joined by Flynn Heald. And again, your video of the week. If you've got a great play of the week that you can share with us, tag us with that on Facebook and Twitter at CISN.TV. Our Lightsmith Media video of the week. Flynn, what is that?
Well, you know Justin Smith at Lightsmith Media hooked us up with an awesome video this week. We have the Roosevelt girls volleyball team. Watch this now.
That was the Lightsmith Media Video of the Week, and you can always check back every week here on CISN.TV this week to see what Justin shares with us that you can check out. Also, don't forget the Play of the Week. Now, we do have a Play of the Week. It's coming a little later. It's not from this week. It's from a few weeks ago, but Flynn will be sharing that with you here in just a little bit. But again, if you've got a Play of the Week, share that with us on Facebook, on social media, Facebook and Twitter at CISN.TV. On the way, Jackie Sapp is going to be chatting with Gary Ross. So for Flynn Heald, I'm Jimmy Olsen at Thunderhead Sports Bar and Grill on Ore Labor in Ankeny. It's CISN.TV this week.
MidAmerican Energy and you, together partnering to change the energy landscape by pioneering money-saving, energy efficiency programs and building a new industry in Iowa, wind energy, all while keeping your rates low. So what's next? We'll keep delivering cost-effective energy efficiency programs while putting money back in your pocket. That's right. You decide how best to spend your savings. That's a partnership good for you, good for the environment, and good for Iowa. Another way we're obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Hi, Ron here, head coach of Westside Auto Pros. When your car's on the injured reserve, you want to get it back in the game as soon as possible. I know that. That's why you need to bring it here to Westside Auto Pros. I have a team of experts that can fix almost every automotive injury. Whether it's a fractured joint, a brake, or if your car just got its bell rung, no problem. We can even do a complete physical on your car to make sure it's game ready for the entire season. So bring your car to Westside Auto Pros and we'll get it back in the starting lineup in no time. Hey, you guys are dogging it back here. Let's move it, move it, move it.
Hi, tonight we have Gary Ross with us for Face Behind the Scene, and he's the Associate Director for the Iowa Girls Athletic Union. He definitely is a man behind the scenes. I worked with him for 20 years at Johnston, and he worked tirelessly. He was always having his sleeves rolled up. He did everything you can imagine somebody doing as an athletic director, and he built a fantastic athletic program at Johnston while I was there. Then he decided he wanted to move on to other challenges, and he ended up with the Girls Athletic Union. He started there in August of 2017. And so I'll just let you tell us a little bit about what your responsibilities are at the Athletic Union.
Sounds great, Jackie, and I appreciate being here. It's always good to see you and reminisce about the past and talk about the future. So my duties as associate director is several. One of them is I'm a sport administrator for the sports of cross country, basketball, and track and field. And as you may know, cross country and track and field are joint sports. So the boys and the girls, our state meets are together. So I work directly with the Iowa High School Athletic Association for cross country and track and field on running that state meet and also the regular season with those sports. And then the girls basketball, obviously we each have basketball, but we're separate programs, and so I oversee that. So one of my big duties is the sport administrator for those three. So really during the season, I'm the go-to person if coaches or administrators have questions related to the sport in any manner. I'm also responsible for kind of managing our postseason tournament and doing the pairings and running the meets there. In addition to sport administrator, I oversee the eligibility of the student athletes in the state. So as administrators and principals have questions related to students, whether it be a transfer or an academic related issue, I would be the go-to contact for the girls that are involved in athletics. I also am the go-to person for foreign exchange students. So typically, schools host students from other countries. They come over if they come part of a J1, which is the visa for a foreign exchange program. I would recommend and approve their eligibility. We try to get them involved and have that experience as much as anything else. Also, I'm involved with some of our sanctions and dealing with discipline with the officials and different aspects related to our officiating. We have separate officials, coordinators for the different sports, but I'm kind of the liaison between them then.
Now I know that when you were at Johnston, you were involved in the boys athletic union, if I'm right. You had some responsibilities there, and I don't know, maybe you deal with the girls. So really, some of the things you're telling me, you've already kind of had a background, like eligibility and those type of things. Probably the only thing maybe would have been the foreign exchange students, and maybe you did. I'm not sure. So was there much of a learning curve, or was the transition pretty easy for you?
One thing, again, there's always things that you wouldn't have encountered through it, but I think, being in a large school such as Johnston, a growing district, I was able to experience a lot of the things that I do in my job now. I was on the board of control at the Iowa High School Athletic Association for 10 years, so I was really involved in a lot of the behind-the-scenes discussion and policy development that occurred at the Iowa High School Athletic Association, which indirectly relates to my job at the Girls High School Athletic Union. And many of the things, again, as a large district, we had a lot of students that would transfer in or move in, and you'd have to deal with that on a more local basis. So I felt really, quite honestly, that a lot of my duties I did as an AD really helped in this transition to the current job.
Well, if I remember right, when I first started there, we did have a foreign exchange student that played on the basketball team. So I'm sure you would have been a part of that. I can't even remember her name right now.
Teresa Arnott.
There you go.
But anyway, so I would have to regularly, when we had student who were from foreign exchange students, we'd have to fill out a form and an application to go to the state and get it approved. So I was real familiar with that process.
Okay. So specific duties, sounds like you're a busy man. I know that I've seen you at a basketball game, so I know that you not just work in the office from 8 to 5, but that also you're doing things outside of the daytime. How often do you go to games? Where do you go to games at? What's that all entail?
I think one of the things that I feel strongly about, and really the Girls Union feels strongly about, is we want to be the face of our sport for our young people. And as an AD, part of the job I enjoyed was going to the events and seeing the experiences and successes of the student athletes. When I was an AD, obviously at Johnston, but when I was on the board, seeing the excitement of all the athletes around the state. And so one of the things that I think is real important is being visible, being the face of the sports that I represent, and also the girls. So I try to go to a couple games a week. Tuesday, pop in occasionally. Last night Monday I went to a ball game, and Saturday. So I try to go to a couple games a week. Usually on Tuesdays I try to keep it a little more local. On Fridays I'll branch out to some different parts of the states a little bit, a little more. A lot of eastern Iowa and some northern Iowa.
You were talking before we came on the air, you were saying how you're up in northwest Iowa. You're from northeast Iowa. Gary and I played in the same conferences in high school. He's a year younger than I am, so we're very familiar with northeast Iowa. And you said you've been southeast a little bit, so you've really been kind of all over the place.
Well, I think it's important. I'm going this Friday. I'm going to Pleasant Valley to see North Scott and Pleasant Valley, who are two of the real strong teams in 5A and 4A in eastern Iowa. And I just think it's important to see the coaches, let them see me, the athletes know that we're there. I try to get on Twitter and get a photo of them and keep the quarterly results and get that around. I think promote our young people, promote the sports, be visible. I did that in cross country. I would go to different meets in the fall, and in the spring I'll go to different track meets around just to be present. And number one, I enjoy them, and that's something I've been around that all my life, and so I enjoy being at these events. But I think the exposure and letting them know that they're important is real important to me.
And I agree with that. My experience has been with the girls' basketball tournament, and I noticed as a player in high school and when I coached and going all the time that this administration or the people involved in the league now seem to be a lot more visible. When I was at the state tournament and doing things behind the scenes where I had never seen that before, but that wasn't kind of the philosophy. So that would be the philosophy of Gene, that you're out and about and do those kind of things?
Well, I think definitely Jean also has been around college athletics most of her life, and so she really sees the importance of promoting the Iowa girl, and the best way to do that is be out there and let them know they're important, because I really enjoy the aspect of we're trying to do what we can to make the experience for our student athletes and the Iowa girl the best that it can be, and I think by being out there and letting them know they're important and and being around them is a good step in that direction.
Well, and we were so unique when we were the six-player game, and we were kind of out there. And then when we went away from the six-player game and took them on the five-player game, we were just kind of like everybody else. So, you know, I mean, that's good to see, and I'm glad that we see that from you people, because I think it does make the athletes more special.
You mentioned the 6-on-6 game. One little interesting thing at this year's state tournament, it's our 100th year, and one of the things we're going to do on the Saturday of our tournament is we're going to have some old 6-on-6 coaches are going to coach some young people, teach them the game of 6-on-6, and we're going to play it at the halftime of one of our championship games on Saturday. And so I think it's a lot of the young people have never seen the game, and I think it's just going to be a great event to kind of showcase the 100th year of basketball in Iowa.
Well, it's awesome for the coaches because they probably haven't had a chance to coach 6-on-6 forever. I coached it for 10 years when I first started out as a teacher, so I think that's awesome. It was a special game at a special time, you know, with everything, things change.
Yeah, this is our 50th year. We try to recognize our 50-year champions, and this year, I don't know if you remember, Montezuma had won it there, and so that's the team that's going to be recognized at the state tournament this year.
How long you been in high school? 50 years?
Close.
Just kidding. All right, we'll after we come back, I want to talk to you about the rankings and how that happens and how you're involved in it. So we'll go to a break now.
Sounds great, Jackie.
Trust the Better Business Bureau, protecting consumers for over a century. When you go to bbb.org to check out a business, you'll learn if it's BBB accredited, see its grade on customer service, and read honest, useful reviews from local people. For online recommendations you can trust, start with trust at bbb.org/Iowa.
Am I talking too loud? I can talk less. I'm going to say I can talk a little quieter.
The one that had it all, everything to get the work done, all in one place. GNL Clothing is your hometown Iowa store. Stop in and see us. Or
You want me to move this mic? Because I can probably talk like this and you still hear me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
1801 Ingersoll, Des Moines.
You hear me, Pete?
Hi, I'm Chris from Fireplace Superstore. You may have noticed it's starting to get cold outside, and if you're like a lot of folks, that old fireplace in your house isn't doing you much good. You need to replace that thing with a high-efficient gas fireplace from Heat & Glow. We're going to come in, take your old wood or gas fireplace out. We're going to replace it with a warm, cozy, high-efficient, easy-to-use fireplace from Heat & Glow. It'll be the best thing you ever did to your house. Come see us today, because nothing's better than a warm fire on a cold day.
Okay, we're back with Gary Ross, and before break, I asked you about the rankings. I know that you have something to do with it. I don't think the average person, you know, when the rankings come out, everybody's like, why is it so-and-so ranked? And so to educate the average fan, what is involved, how are you involved, and what changes from a week-to-week basis?
You know, one of the philosophies that the Girls Union not just has now, but has had in the past is do internal rankings. And so within our Girls Union, Jason Essinger, one of his duties and responsibilities is to oversee the rankings of our different sports. Obviously volleyball, basketball, we do the soccer, we do the softball, those different sports, we do the internal rankings there. And one of our approaches come the postseason is we try to, the best we can, spread out our top 8, you know, in basketball, for example, to give them the best, I mean, I wouldn't say the best opportunity, but to have an opportunity to compete for what they earn during the year. And so what Jason does, he just does a tremendous job of researching. He spends a lot of time studying statistics, looking at scores, talking to different journalists, newspaper people around the different parts of the state, looking at returning players, just keeping up on that, and then following the game-to-game, week-to-week results that happen. And then based on all those things, strength of schedule, so it's not just about your record, you know. Right. Obviously, some example, a Mesa City or North Scott plays in a larger conference, Xavier, and yet you look at it, even though the record may not be as good, they try to determine where they at in terms of skill.
We were just talking about Trainer, how they played up a couple classes, they got beat,
Yep.
but that also means something because they're going against different competitions.
Yeah, Jason, again, when he's doing the rankings, tries not to penalize schools for playing strong competition, and even though they might lose it in the long run, it's probably going to help them become better, but it's also going to probably help them in the rankings that if they are continually playing against these stronger teams.
Well, and when you take a look at the CIML, they kind of beat up on each other, and you take a look at who else is ranked outside of the CIML, because some people say, well, they're always ranked, but it's pretty stiff competition, and you probably can contest to that by going around and seeing, other schools play. So sometimes that might be hard to justify why you have 5 CIML teams ranked, and maybe there aren't some other people.
It's interesting from class to class. Like one example in Class 2A, we have, of our 15 ranked teams, 11 of them are from Eastern Iowa, and so, depending on which class and which pockets of things, there are certain parts of the state that are stronger. We, in volleyball, our 2 finalists in Class 2A were Western Christian and Unity Christian, which are right next to each other up in Northwest Iowa. And so, there are different years, different sports, different sections of the state, different classes that are stronger from year to year. And so, obviously basketball, at least at the 5A level, I think is as strong as I've seen it in many, many years in terms of, top notch, but also quantity of them.
There's quite a few Division I athletes in the 5A level, so for the average person, I think maybe that they could probably understand it better now that you've given those reasons, and I'm thinking of Crestwood, who won the whole thing hands down. They started out number 1, and they only really have one player. I mean, they have some other players back, but the one big player, and they've lost 4 games now. And they got beat by Cedar Falls, which you wouldn't penalize for. They're still ranked, but they're still pretty good ball teams.
Yeah, the Goodwin girl obviously is committed to Iowa and is an outstanding player. And this week, interestingly, our Class 1A, 2A, 3A pairings are going to be released on Friday, and so been spending a lot of time really looking at I got my map and my little rubber bands and pins and trying to do the best we can to make it as fair of a postseason as we can. And and again, this is a statement Bernie Sagal years ago had made, is the only way you can make everybody happy is to have a separate class for every school. And so obviously we're not able to do that, but we very much really try to look at the areas of the state, try to get a couple ranked teams in those, try to spread out our top 8, and then we try to really look at head-to-heads and who's beating another team in terms of hosting and doing that.
Do you look at travel? Do you look at making sure that people don't have to travel so far?
It's interesting is probably at the 5A and 4A level, we maybe do a little less about, we maybe worry a little less about distance because they're used to more travel.
Right.
Example, in the CML, you got Mesa City and Ottumwa in the same league, and so, same thing Mississippi Valley, you've got Iowa City West, and you've got Cedar Falls, and you've got a Dubuque Senior, so you have them around the state. But that obviously is a factor as we start looking at competition. We try not to have a team in probably classes 1 through 3A, 1A through 3A go more than 2 hours. We kind of use that as a guide, not going farther. If they happen to be paired against each other, we try to find maybe more of a neutral site for them to play. So yeah, of course, we try to recognize the fact that it's school night and distance, and yet interestingly, some schools would travel a little farther to have a little better chance at winning. And so, depending who you talk to, if you talk to the superintendent, they might feel differently. If you talk to the coach, they might have a different opinion on that.
Well, and also, you're more heavily populated on the eastern side of the state, but when you get to Fort Dodge and over, it gets pretty rough in terms of travel because there's just nobody there.
Yeah, so it's a combination of you're trying to have your strength and you try to look at, geography and distance and travel. That all is factored into it as we start looking at who to play. And you don't want to necessarily have East Coast to West Coast play, but if there's a way to center it a little bit and have them play in a little closer, that's what we try to do.
And somebody's always not going to like what happens. So, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things. If you win, it's great. When you don't, then maybe sometimes you're unsatisfied. I'm thinking about the year that Johnston played Davenport. Was it not?
Davenport North over
at Johnston, and that was.
It was a great game.
Yeah,
you know, and it was interesting that when you're in the AD, you look at it at a different perspective. I mean, you're really looking tunneled into your school and and what's the way, and really this has given me a good sense of you know, all the time and effort that's put into it, and we really do try to spend a lot of time and you know, like each week when the rankings come out, I adjust my little pins to try to say now what makes more sense, and so it's something I'm working on throughout the year to try to, now as we get into the 4A, 5A will be next Friday, a week from Friday, and so we try to make that as fair a process as we can.
I think I read this. You're the first athletic director they've ever had in the athletic union. In terms of anybody else that's ever been hired, has never had that kind of background or association. I could be wrong, but
at the girls' union, Craig Enan, who is a speech director, he also works for the girls' union. He was a former teacher coach. Mike Dick was a former principal in the school setting, but none had ever been an athletic director. And I think from one standpoint, having been in it, I can always say I've been there, done that. As a coach, I've been there as a coach, also been there as administrator, and I think sometimes that helps. Maybe I can relate to what the coaches and the administrators, ADs are going through, because I've lived it myself, and I think that, at least from my perspective, that's been helpful for me to understand where they're coming from when they have questions or concerns and things.
It probably helps your whole team, the whole athletic union team, in terms of, you know, you might be able to say things, oh, did you think about this, that maybe the normal person wouldn't if they hadn't been in those shoes.
I think definitely it's something that they've leaned on me from a school perspective. What are you thinking, or what are they thinking? And again, it isn't always that way, but it's at least allows us to bounce ideas and thoughts and feelings off each other, knowing we got that school-based perspective.
My last question is, what do you miss the most about not being an athletic director anymore? What's the one thing you miss that?
You know, it's probably the relationships that, you know, when you're in a school setting, and for example at Johnston and New Hampton before that, you know, you have 1,600 students that, you know, you see not just in athletics, but I saw them in music, I saw them in speech, I saw them in different things. You see them in the hallway, you see them in student council. Probably the relationships with staff, the coaches, the directors, other administrators, you know, the parents, the people of that nature. Our office is an office of 11. I have a lot of meetings, I do a lot of emails, have phone calls, but you don't really get to know like what you do in the school setting. As you know, the athletic office is a kind of a come and go. People come and go, and there's always somebody there and going back and forth. So probably that part, just the relationships that you're able to develop with students and staff is probably what I probably miss the most, if you had to say something.
And you were very visible. I mean, I probably saw you once a week, and we were at different ends of the building. So, you know, the fact that you were out and about and visible, I can imagine that's probably something that, you know, that kind of a loneliness thing that's probably hard to get used to, because you're always around a lot of people. So
most of the time with students, I mean, when I had to deal with good conduct policies and some of those, I don't miss that. I don't miss that part. But you know, it's one of those things. You know, at my point in my career, you know, I feel comfortable in what my role is, and I still, when I go to events, I still enjoy watching the students. And you don't get to know them like you do when you're obviously in a school on a day-to-day basis, but it's still fun to see them compete, and the excitement that they have. That's still something, even though I don't have it with individuals, you have it as an overall that I still enjoy.
Well, Johnston lost a good man, a great athletic director, but the Iowa Girls Athletic Union definitely got a good person to fill the role that you're filling. So I want to thank you for being part of our program of Face Behind the Scene, because you definitely are a face behind the scene.
Well, thanks, Jackie. I really enjoy it, and appreciate CISN doing this. It's an awesome activity, and
well,
continued.
next week we're gonna have one of your colleagues on. Lisa Brinkmeyer is gonna be coming in and talk a little bit about 6-on-6 and the comparison. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Lisa's an awesome person to work with. I knew her well when obviously when I was AD, and she was a sport administrator and at the Girls Union. So it's been awesome working with her.
She does a little bit of everything, doesn't she?
She'll share a little bit there.
All right.
She's got her hands in lots of good stuff. So
okay, thanks.
Thank
a lot.
you, Jackie.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Moms typically get to make a majority of the healthcare decisions for their family. That can be a lot of pressure, but not for me, because I know the choice is ours. For medical tests like MRIs, X-rays, CAT scans, and of course mammograms, ask your doctor to refer you to Iowa Radiology. They work around our hectic schedules, they're the best at what they do, and they're so great with my family. They truly care, and it shows. Visit iowaradiology.com or call to schedule an appointment. Iowa Radiology, our focus is your good health.
During the year-end holiday tag event at Schottenkirk Ford, Indianola, all vehicles are tagged with one low price. New bonus tagged 18 Ford F-150s up to $14,000 off MSRP. Your choice. Up to $8,500 off MSRP. New 18 Ford Explorer and new 18 Ford Edge. Year-end tag event in Indianola, including thousands under retail value on Schottenkirk certified pre-owned vehicles. Hurry in for best selection. Schottenkirk Ford, Indianola. SchottenkirkFord.com.
You want to get stronger, faster, healthier. You want more. You want to be part of something bigger than yourself. A place for people of all ages, all walks of life, that provides opportunities for all to succeed. We do that. We're the why. Build more than muscle. Build a stronger community.
Welcome back to CISN TV. I am Flynn Heald. Today we have Tinsley Wright, our guest. But before we interview Tinsley, we have a play of the week for you guys, okay? This comes from, was this last summer, Tinsley?
This was this summer during the season.
So this last summer then, before football season, Tinsley Wright kicked a 67-yard field goal. We're going to show that to you guys right now.
In front of me is where, or behind me is where the 40-yard line is on the kickoff side. So
okay.
I was about 3 yards in front of that, which makes it a 67-yard field goal.
Nice, nice. So this was at the high school practice field, correct?
Yes, this was at our practice.
And I see somebody down there at the bottom holding up their hands. Who do you got a shout out to give to there?
Shout out Bo Lombardi. He put his hands up, which means it went through.
Nice, nice. So that's 67-yard field goal. Okay, that. Don't go out trying to kick that. You may tear your hamstring and your hip flexor, okay? So Tinsley Wright is a senior at Valley High School. He is a wrestler and a football player. A lot of people don't know this about you, Tinsley, right? You started both your football season with an avulsion fracture and then again your wrestling season with an avulsion fracture. An avulsion fracture is a fracture that involves the ripping of a bone from a tendon or muscle. So right where that insertion is, it pulls that bone piece off. So Tinsley, kind of talk to people, what's that injury like dealing with? And then, what's that, progression back into playing your sport?
So right away when I fractured it the first time, I believe, was after a kicking camp in the summer. And I didn't know anything of it. I went into it was one of the hospitals, and they checked it out and said that, oh, it's good, nothing's wrong with it, just take some time off and you'll be fine. And I took about 5 weeks off, and I came back on to kick, to do some stuff, and it was feeling better. So I feel like it had healed up. And
so then, in terms of your process to get back into things, so the avulsion fracture happens. How much time did you have to take off? Was it 8 weeks?
8 weeks,
About 8 weeks, okay. 8 weeks is up. How many weeks till you were starting to move again in that progression back into wrestling?
I was walking and stuff the whole time between like the end of the year avulsion fracture and to get back into the wrestling. It took, like you said, 8 weeks, and that time was not my favorite time.
Right.
It kind of sucked. I wasn't able to do much other than walking and just your normal day things.
Yeah. So when you were finally able to get back onto the mat, what was the hardest part transitioning back into wrestling? Was it your conditioning? Did you feel like you lacked strength, or what was it?
No, I don't think I lacked strength. The hardest part was by far my conditioning. It was not at the top of where I needed it to be, but I'm slowly getting that back in. It still takes a lot of time, but I'm
So,
getting there.
assuming you dropped weight to the current weight you're wrestling at, correct?
Correct.
Was that process easier for you being, because I remember you during football season were about 185, correct?
Correct.
So you're down to wrestling 160.
160 with the 2-pound allowance,
With the
162.
Okay, yep, 162. So, how was that weight cut for you? Did the avulsion fracture kind of help that, do you think? Or
No, not at all. So, in fact, the avulsion fracture held me back from being able to condition with the wrestling team. I couldn't do any of the tough practices, whereas when I had the fracture, I was only able to sauna and lose my water weight and just eat healthy. So that was the main way I lost weight when I couldn't do my exercise.
So you're back to the mat. You're 4-2 now. We have the conference meet this Friday, right? What do you have to do to achieve success to see your hand raised on Friday?
In order to see my hand raised on Friday, I need to just stay to my game. I need to not make dumb mistakes on the mat, and I just need to wrestle the way I know how to wrestle.
Is there anybody on your team particularly that you think, maybe last year didn't stand out on the mat and maybe they have a chance for this round to, make it all the way through?
I think we've all been doing well this year. I think we'll all be getting our hand raised on Friday since we have 4 to 5 matches. So I think we'll all do.
That's good to hear.
Do
That's
our
good to
jobs.
hear. So, with the season ending, obviously Coach Cobb has, played a crucial role in your wrestling career through Valley High School. I know Coach Cobb as well. He's an awesome guy. Talk to us about Coach Cobb and maybe some of the things you're going to miss about him and his coaching.
So I'm definitely going to miss Coach Cobb when wrestling's over, but I feel like Coach Cobb was the guy I went to when things weren't going my way on the mat, and I just wasn't finishing takedowns and stuff. He'd always help me with my technique. In the summer, he'd come in out of his time to work with me, and I just think that's awesome, and that he's willing to do that for anyone. So he's just been a huge role.
You're not the only person to say that on his behalf. So, Coach Cobb, you're doing an awesome job. Keep it up. We're rooting for the Valley Tigers this Friday. Good luck in your event this Friday. Let's advance now past wrestling to football. So you currently hold an offer from Concordia.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where your interest lies in playing football or wrestling. I won't make you declare that here right now. But right now, what do you feel like you have to improve in order for you to be, a successful college athlete?
To be successful in college, I'm going to need to work on the small things. Like for kicking, I need to work on my hip speed and just staying flexible and the small things that kickers need. Right. And I just feel like strength will always be one of those things that everyone needs, so strength will be another part of that.
Continue to develop the strength. Yeah. I mean, you're a senior in high school, you're 18, right? 17. So you got, plenty of years to keep putting on the needed strength that you'll need. So February 3rd, I believe, is signing day. Correct. So February 3rd's that day. From now till then, what do you feel like a school needs to do in order to gain your commitment? Do they need to communicate with you a little bit more? Is it, just open up an opportunity? Or is there a specific opportunity window you're looking for?
So obviously communication's huge.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard reaching out to coaches where it's easier if they reach to you. It comes a lot easier that way, but I feel like I just need an opportunity, and that opportunity would be nice to have.
I agree. If you can kick a couple more of those 67-yarders, Tinsley, you'll be fine. So best of luck to you Friday in your wrestling match, Tinsley, and then best of luck moving forward to you with your football career as well. We always finish it with my favorite part, which is the speed round. So we're going to rattle off a couple quick questions for you guys. Tinsley's going to name off the first thing that comes to his head, and he'll shout it out to you. So first things first is your favorite sports drink.
Glacier Cherry Gatorade.
Favorite professional football team.
Vikings.
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Body Armor or Gatorade?
Gatorade.
Okay. MJ or LeBron is the greatest of all time?
Michael Jordan.
Okay. That's a good one right there. Should Barry Bonds be in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Saw this on ESPN today. Okay. Would you rather ride a bull or feed a geese? Okay. Would you rather feed a bull or ride a geese?
Feed a bull.
All right. And if you could have 2 people help you finish 5 large pizzas, who would they be?
Probably Bo Lombardi and Logan Mueller.
I'm surprised I didn't hear a little Jake Remsburg in there. But
and Jake Remsburg if I had a third.
He gets 3 of them today. So that's all from Flynn and Tinsley Wright today with you here. Coming up next, we will have Javier Toole with This Week in Health and Fitness.
Mid-American Energy and you, together partnering to change the energy landscape by pioneering money-saving, energy efficiency programs and building a new industry in Iowa, wind energy, all while keeping your rates low. So what's next? We'll keep delivering cost-effective energy efficiency programs while putting money back in your pocket. That's right. You decide how best to spend your savings. That's a partnership good for you, good for the environment, and good for Iowa. Another way we're obsessively relentless.
During the year-end holiday tag event at Schottenkirk Ford, Indianola, all vehicles are tagged with one low price. New bonus tagged 18 Ford F-150s up to $14,000 off MSRP. Your choice. Up to $8,500 off MSRP. New 18 Ford Explorer and new 18 Ford Edge. Year-end tag event in Indianola, including thousands under retail value on Schottenkirk certified pre-owned vehicles. Hurry in for best selection. Schottenkirk Ford, Indianola. SchottenkirkFord.com.
Moms typically get to make a majority of the healthcare decisions for their family. That can be a lot of pressure, but not for me, because I know the choice is ours. For medical tests like MRIs, X-rays, CAT scans, and of course mammograms, ask your doctor to refer you to Iowa Radiology. They work around our hectic schedules, they're the best at what they do, and they're so great with my family. They truly care, and it shows. Visit iowaradiology.com or call to schedule an appointment. Iowa Radiology. Our focus is your good health.
All right, we're back at CISN.TV. It is Javier with your TST20 tip of the week with my guest today from the Altoona campus, Travis Northway, right? Personal trainer. So we've known each other for a long time.
Yep.
Okay, so I think I've known you now for at least 2 years. And I brought you on today because right now you are currently over at the Altoona campus, personal training, and you do a lot more than just with adults. You're working with some kids too. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
So right now I have a couple of student athletes, two currently. One that plays rugby and the other one that does track. And right now my goal is just to help them perform better in their sport. So we're hitting the weights hard, focusing on strength, power, increasing speed, development, everything like that. And it's been a really cool opportunity to work with student athletes right now.
Perfect. So Travis, you're like, I'm going to be honest with you, you're like almost like a golden god when I look at you, and we're going to see some pictures of you here in a second. But can you talk about like nutrition for student athletes and how important that is?
I would say the biggest thing is just really simplifying it and making sure that the kids, the student athletes, are eating just the most natural forms of the foods instead of going for the junk foods, the pop, the chips, the processed goods. I mean, it's not anything too crazy, but stick to home cooked meals as much as you can and try to stay away from the fast food. I mean, even though you're a kid, you can probably get away with it and stuff, as we all did once, but you'll see a lot more progress when you eat healthier with your body, and you'll feel a lot better too, therefore transferring over to your sport of choice. And that's going to make you perform better too when you're fueling yourself with healthy foods.
Perfect. So you were a student athlete back in the day.
I was.
I know that you used to play rugby at Iowa State. I don't like to say that word on air. Iowa State is tough for me to say, being a Hawkeye
Go Cyclones.
fan. But tell us a little bit about your experience at Iowa State at rugby, and then you also played soccer at Grandview, right?
Yes, sir. So I played 1 year soccer at Grandview University. Loved it there, and it was definitely a big step up from playing at Southeast Polk. And then transferred to DMAC, and then I got to Iowa State. And, I heard about rugby before, and people probably hate me for saying this when they say it's like football without pads, even though there's a lot more to it and stuff. But once I got to Iowa State, I joined their rugby club and stuff, and haven't looked back. It's a really fun game to play, and that's when I really got serious into lifting and stuff like that.
And you're from Southeast Polk. That's your area.
Yep.
They are just dominating in rugby right now.
Yes.
Right. What is it, 6 times?
Yeah, 6-time state champs.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that.
Yeah,
like they
pretty
had
amazing.
like the longest streak of wins for I think an high school sport in the nation for a while.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's really up there, and I would say that comes down to their training, but also just getting the athletes in there.
So you currently work at the Altoona campus. Will you tell me a little bit what you guys got going on over at the Altoona campus and give them a shout out?
I mean, with the campus, it's definitely family first. It's a community center, so we get a variety of different members getting in there, from seniors to kids to children being involved there, and it's a really cool place to work at because you get a very diverse group of people. So I'll have clients that I train that are 60, 70 years old, and then I have, like we just talked about, I have student athletes that are teenagers. And it's more than just a group of people trying to get healthy. You know, it's more of a family, because we are so involved with the community outside, doing events and other gatherings, trying to help improve people's health and come together and just be more positive, healthy people.
Perfect.
So it's a really cool experience.
So if you had to give a tip to a student athlete today, since we're talking about fitness, and I like to do a tip of the week, what would you tell a student athlete right now to stay productive, to stay active? What would you give them? So a little bit of advice.
I would say, and this is cliche to say, I would say be a student first. Take care of business in the classroom before you start worrying about your sport, because in the long term, you're only going to be able to play sports so long. So your education is a lot more important. But I would say outside of that is focus on your nutrition, focus on your eating habits, build a good foundation now of eating, so when you get to college or when you get older, you don't have to worry about that struggle of being healthy. You already have that built in.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to tell you, I always get excited about this. So we do, what is on your social media? And we started this last week. So you have a nice head of hair right now. But I think back in the day when I first met you, I think your hair might have been a little bit different. So I'm just going to do a little flex, and we're going to pull up a picture for you here in a second. And this picture, I think, is you during your bodybuilding days where I first met you. And I think it was in Omaha, was one of your first shows that I met you. You actually won the show that weekend, didn't you?
I did.
Which is pretty amazing. And I think here in a second it's going to pop up if Justin doesn't already have it pulled up for us. Now, on this one, I'm not sure on this picture. What's amazing about it is, I don't know if it's a professionally shot picture or if you just shot this, because I see that you have a lot of selfies.
I do. I do.
And I think you've mastered the selfie. Do you have it pulled up, Justin, right now? And I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to show it to you so we can get it. We just want to say, what is this, man? Is this how long does it take you to grow hair like that?
So I was working on that for a couple years. You know, I always had longer hair, but I was like, the man bun, as we call it, was hot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I grew it out and rocked it through my bodybuilding career, and
well, the good thing is,
never again will I go to that.
Most people have been like, how long did it take you to make those pecs? Because those were pretty amazing. But I do have to ask about the hair. We're going to move on to the next picture. This is probably one of my favorites, because I truly believe that selfies are important.
Yes.
And because you can see your progress. This is probably one of the most impressive pictures I've ever
Thank
seen.
you. And that was actually pretty recent. That was, I think, like maybe a month or so ago.
That's nice. So I have to say, I get a little hesitant about bringing people on who are in great shape, because I thought today, I was like, he's going to give me his business card. Like, here, Javier,
Maybe.
here's a personal trainer.
I mean, I did bring a pack of them, so if you want, let me know.
So we're going to wrap this up. So what I want you to do is just give us a little spill. Some of your.
Okay. Get a hold of me right now. It's by my email, tnorthway@altunacampus.com. If not, check out our website, www.altunacampus.com. There's a lot more information on there with our hours, ways to get a hold of me. And if you're interested in personal training, let's get started today.
Perfect. Travis, I want to thank you for being on the TST
Thank you
20
very
Tip
much.
of the Week. We'll be back with Greg Schoen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
You want to get stronger, faster, healthier. You want more. You want to be part of something bigger than yourself. A place for people of all ages, all walks of life, that provides opportunities for all to succeed. We do that. We're the why. Build more than muscle. Build a stronger community.
Hi, Ron here, head coach of Westside Auto Pros. When your car's on the injured reserve, you want to get it back in the game as soon as possible. I know that. That's why you need to bring it here to Westside Auto Pros. I have a team of experts that can fix almost every automotive injury. Whether it's a fractured joint, a brake, or if your car just got its bell rung, no problem. We can even do a complete physical on your car to make sure it's game ready for the entire season. So bring your car to Westside Auto Pros and we'll get it back in the starting lineup in no time. Hey, you guys are done.
TV. It's Javier, and tonight's guest is Greg Schoen. So, Greg, you're the football coach over at East High School, not only the football coach, you're also the bowling coach, track coach.
Yes,
All
bowling
right.
season right now, so kind of getting towards the stretch run of that.
Okay, well, let's talk about that right off the bat. It's bowling season. Tell us a little bit about bowling season in high school and what it consists of.
Bowling, you get 12 games you can schedule during the season, your regular season. Then we have a conference meet at the end, and then you have your districts, which is your state qualifier.
Okay.
And actually the meets are kind of fun. A lot of people don't know how you keep score. Well, it's your regular bowling, but you have 6 individuals on your varsity and JV, and you take there are 2 games, that total series, the top 5 you add to the first part, and usually those 5 bowl the Bakers, which is 5 games where each bowler bowls 2 frames. So those 5 guys share a lane, and they bowl 5 games like that. Then you add those 2 together, and that's how you get your team total.
So let me ask you, what kind of intensity level do you bring to bowling? Because you're the head football coach too, and I've seen you on the football field. So do you have to scale it back, or do you get pretty pumped up like you do for a football game?
I usually stay pretty calm when it's bowling. I know the kids like to get fired up, especially during Bakers, because it's more of a team time then. But with bowling, you try to just keep a rhythm, keep a good flow going, and not get too excited or too down or too mad where you lose your focus, because it's a sport where you definitely need good eye-hand coordination.
So Greg, I don't want to put you on the spot now, but you're getting older and you've been part of the league for a long time. Let's talk about sports and kiddos these days. I know with a lot of things that are going on in football with concussions and things, what are you seeing in the trend? Is it getting harder to get kids to go out for football? I mean, are you seeing the trends? Maybe it's because there's a lot of other activities going on or specialization of sports?
Just as far as football is concerned, I would say that the youth programs may not be as popular as they used to be, because the parents are afraid, when the kids are starting tackle football in 3rd or 4th grade or 5th grade, they think those extra hits may add up, or kids may get concussions. But as far as like numbers at East and in the Metro, they've held pretty constant. I mean, you have your years anyways, where you have a down year with the class or whatever. But I think with technology and the new rules that have been put into place, and just new techniques that are being taught, I mean, football is as safe as it's ever been.
Good. That's one thing I'd like to hear, because I know I've heard a lot in the metro area that numbers are down in the Little League, so it's good to hear from a coach that's been in this program for a long time that things are getting safer. Let's talk about the season coming up. But before you get to the season, what are the suggestions to these guys in the off season? What's important for them to be doing to ensure that they're ready for football season?
Well, it was just the end of the first semester, so academics is the first thing. You got to be eligible to play. So in the state of Iowa, if you get 1 F or 5 Fs, the rule is you have to sit out 30 calendar days. So that's a big thing. Stay on top of your grades. Again, I coach track, so I look at a lot of football players that come out for track just to work on their speed and conditioning.
Yep.
Also, I'm the weight room PE teacher, so I encourage those guys to come in either before school if I don't have them in class during the second semester, or one of my track coaches is the throwers coach, Coach White. He's in the weight room twice a week after school with the throwers, so we give them ample opportunities to get in there, try to get stronger.
Good. So here's the thing I like to ask a lot. How much does sports help those kids in high school, I would say, be more well-rounded?
So well-rounded is one way to put it. I call it the whole package. Kids usually, they say they want a scholarship, or they want to go to college. Well, yes, a college coach can come in and eyeball you and look at you and say, wow, I want this guy on my team. But then they ask, what kind of kid is he? And they ask, what's his GPA? What's his ACT score? Because they can see if they want the player, but then when they get the transcript, they can actually see if they can get that athlete into their school.
Perfect. So I went to a lot of your games last year. You guys had a great crowd. You guys have a great environment. Is there something you're looking forward to the upcoming football season? I know it's a while away, but I know inside your head it's probably right there. Is there something we can look forward to seeing from East this year?
I think we're going to have a really, really strong defense this year. We had a really good season this last year. We were 5-4. We lost some close games to some really good teams. Just missed out on the playoffs. But, it's next man in. Next class need to step up and replace those talented seniors. So I always look forward to the challenge of the next year. and I know a lot of our kids are already very optimistic for the upcoming season.
Yeah, there's some exciting games that I got to watch last year. So let's get into this. Let's talk about what a lot of people have been talking about. So I posted a picture of you this week at an Iowa State uniform. So you used to play Iowa State football. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge Iowa State fan. I was an Iowa State season ticket holder. But Coach Dan, is it McCarney?
Coach McCarney, yeah.
Yeah, he even commented, so you must have a heart. And you got to play with Troy Davis.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your Iowa State football career.
Well, as you know, I'm from a small town in northwest
Okay, I'm going to stop you
Iowa.
right there. Before we get there, this is a living legend here. When I grew up on town, I think your picture's up right now. This guy was the guy who would bring fans into a small town place. I'm from a town of about 800 people, and when you came to our hometown to play, all 800 people came out to see.
That's my roommates, Kurt Levette's own Kevin Wilson.
Your channel's right. So let's get back into it. I don't want to boost your egos. So.
No, that's all right. People make fun of how big the shoulder pads were back then.
So tell us just a little bit about your career at Iowa State.
Oh, it was definitely a roller coaster. You come in as a true freshman, coming from a town like Cedar Rapids, and now you're playing against Lincoln, University of Lincoln, Nebraska, Colorado, Oklahoma, and you go into these stadiums, and Oklahoma, you just look up because you think the stadium's never going to end.
Yeah.
But then you get on the field and you start playing, and as you get older, you become the top dog. I mean, your confidence just grows year by year. So I felt that I belonged there, and I did what my coaches said because my goal was to be a Division I athlete.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you're here because I always want to hear about your story. So we're doing a thing now. What's on your social media? And I don't know how old this picture is, but it looks like you're at a football camp, maybe.
Actually, that was Gary Swenson's football camp in Spencer, Iowa. my buddy Clint and Heather.
Are those your original glasses?
That would probably be my first or second pair, yeah. Those are the cool things back in the day.
You don't look small.
Yeah,
and I think we have one more picture of you, and I'm not sure. Do we have one more picture?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to bring up this list. This next picture is just a very simple one. And I always look at some of people's pictures, and I think about coaches. And this next one that's going to come up is just a picture of what – this one keeps going – is what were you saying or what were you thinking on this photo right here?
Oh, boy. That would be when I was a defensive coordinator.
Where was that?
That looks to be at Hoover or Lincoln. Probably Hoover.
I always look at these and I always wonder, like, what is he thinking when he has his hands out?
That's probably what I was thinking. Like, what was the ref thinking? I don't know. Or what was my player doing? Yeah.
So we want to bring this up, but I want to go back to Iowa State one more time. Okay. You've seen the changes at Iowa State.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And you were there back in the days when things were really changed. I'm pretty sure when Troy Davis was there, I remember.
Listened to him speak several times. I've gone up to practice several times. We have a player up there, Rory Walling, and it's been great to watch practice. They fly around. Every drill is competitive. And just listening to Coach Campbell talk, he's the real deal. He's going to play the best players. He's going to recruit the best players he can get. And then those guys go in and make plays against high-quality competition. So, and the fans are coming out, and they respect that. And I think, as a guy that used to play there, and now I go and cheer for the guys,
yep.
I know that the kids down on the field play harder when the stands are full, and the people in the stands are cheering their guts out for them on the field.
Well, Coach, I just want to praise you for your dedication over at East High School. I'm proud to have you as a friend, and I'm proud I get to train you in the gym. But I'm even more proud for the dedication you put into your student athletes. So I just want to give you a shout out for that. I want to thank you for being on the show tonight. You're one of my first big guests, I would say famous guests that I've ever had. But I think next week I'm going to have to bring on an Iowa Hawkeye fan to one up the Iowa State guys. But Coach, I want to thank you. Coach Schoen again from East High School. We'll be back at CISN.TV here in a second.
Moms typically get to make a majority of the healthcare decisions for their family. That can be a lot of pressure, but not for me, because I know the choice is ours. For medical tests like MRIs, X-rays, CAT scans, and of course mammograms, ask your doctor to refer you to Iowa Radiology. They work around our hectic schedules, they're the best at what they do, and they're so great with my family. They truly care, and it shows. Visit iowaradiology.com or call to schedule an appointment. Iowa Radiology, our focus is your good health.
During the year-end holiday tag event at Schottenkirk Ford Indianola, all vehicles are tagged with one low price. New bonus tagged 18 Ford F-150s up to $14,000 off MSRP. Your choice. Up to $8,500 off MSRP. New 18 Ford Explorer and new 18 Ford Edge. Year-end tag event in Indianola, including thousands under retail value on Schottenkirk certified pre-owned vehicles. Hurry in for best selection. Schottenkirk Ford Indianola. SchottenkirkFord.com. During the year.
And we're back to This Week on CISN.TV. I'm Jimmy Olsen with Flynn Heald as we move our way into the rankings. So how are we looking, Flynn, with the girls so far this week?
Well, we got 4 teams represented in the CIML, led by Southeast Polk, sitting at number 2, 13-1, led by Maggie McGraw, so you know they're doing well. And then we have 3 other teams, Johnson at 3, Valley at 5, and Waukee at 8. So,
and of course now these numbers are going to be changing tomorrow, so we could see something a little different. Right now, sitting in first place with the 12-0, you've got Iowa City High, and then rounding off that top 10 is the Cedar Rapids Washington at 12-1. And then moving over and checking out the boys rankings, how do we look in there?
The boys rankings, we're well represented again. We got 3 teams in the CIML, led by Waukee at 11-0. They have started out on tremendous season, so hopefully they can keep pushing forward through. And then finishing out that top 10, we have another team from the CIML in Des Moines North. So, and they've had a couple good players found their way onto our highlight of the week. So we could be expecting to see a couple more from that team.
That's right. North Scott, of course, topping that off 13-0, and we always share these rankings with you every week. And most of these, at least on the local games, you can always catch those right here on CISN.TV. In fact, again, going back, talking to the girls' game that happened last week, Dowling and Waukee, which Dowling won there in the last minute, 57-53. If you didn't check that, you can go check out that game, because when we share those games and put those on, you can always go back and rewatch them as well. And a lot of great games. Also coming up this week as well with wrestling and basketball right now, Friday night, 6:15 tip-off, the Ames at Ankeny. So you can be sure to check that out. And then again, as we were talking earlier, because of the weather we've been getting through central Iowa, we've had some games that have had to be rescheduled. One of those, Waukee at Centennial, that again this Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock tip-off for that. So be sure to check on that. If you haven't subscribed to that, you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, CISN.TV. You can get the alerts and let you know when we do go live with the games and when we go live every week with CISN.TV this week. So you want to check that as well. And if you're at a game and you've got a great play that you see, share that with us on social media. You can do that on Facebook or on Twitter at CISN.TV. Share those plays of the week, and you might see your name right here on CISN.TV. As we are every week, Thunderhead Sports Bar and Grill in Ankeny on Orlabor. For Jackie Sapp, for Flynn Heald, for Javier Toole, I'm Jimmy Olsen, and we'll see you again here next week on CISN.TV.